the Speaker for the affirmative, Stephen Whittington.
I'm going to admit something about school choice in New Zealand, and that's that some parents have school choice, that some parents have the capacity to send their child to the school of their choice. How do you get your child into the school of your choice in New Zealand today? You either move house to an area which happens to have a good local school, or you send your child to a private school. The problem with school choice in New Zealand at the moment is that only one group of people can afford it: wealthy people. Wealthy people have school choice. The very people who don't have the capacity to pay twice for education, who can't pay their taxes and send their kid to a private school, are the very poor people that the negative team in this debate says they represent. That's not true at all, because the most important aspect of school choice would be to liberate poor families and poor children from their local school, which doesn't provide any of the things that they want it to, ladies and gentlemen. Today, I'm going to talk about three things. The first is why school choice provides incentives for quality education and why locking children into schools does not. The second thing I'm going to talk about is why school choice will result in improvements in diversity. I know that isn't something that the negative team wanted when Grant wants to make jokes about religious minorities and how they're going to vote for National. I'm so sorry but there are people too, Grant.
You didn't say hate.
You didn't say hate, it was pretty clear from your tone though.
No, I don't think it was actually.
Okay. I didn't interrupt you, Grant. Well, I think I'm doing alright so far. The third point that I'm going to make is who will actually benefit most from school choice, because it is people who live in poor communities. So let's firstly talk about the incentives for quality in the provision of education. And the problem with not having a system of school choice, or forcing people to attend their local schools or pay twice to send their kids to a school they want, is that you create a captive market. Imagine if I said to you, you are now going to have to attend your local supermarket. You can go nowhere else to buy your produce but your local supermarket. The first thing that would happen is that you might not like their produce. They might not have organic food, and that's exactly what you want. Alternatively, the supermarket, because it now has a captive market, doesn't have to actually provide the things that you want as an individual, because what's the threat that you have? You can't walk down the next supermarket further down the road. You have to go to that particular supermarket. I note that it's not Labour's policy to actually force people to attend their local supermarket. That's probably because there isn't a supermarkets union and there is a teachers union. The reason why supermarkets provide the things that you want is because there's the credible threat of you walking down the road to the alternative supermarket. That doesn't happen for a lot of people in New Zealand in regards to schooling. And that's why the worst schools in New Zealand are not attended by wealthy white people, they're attended by poor brown people, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm going to talk about some specific examples of schools in New Zealand that don't do very well. If you look at the schools which turn out the students with the worst literacy rates, that's in South Auckland. Recently, there was a police measure to station police officers in 10 South Auckland schools. It's not because, wouldn't it be great to have a policeman around, maybe that will come in use. In those schools, there's a lot of drug use and a lot of violence and assaults against students and teachers. So don't tell us that the people who are going to be worst off with school vouchers are poor people, because poor people are those who are currently worst off through the current system we have, which forces them to go to those schools. You know what I think?
Kings next week. Sweet.
No, I need to say that it will be at King's next week, and if you just wait, I'll explain exactly how it will work in this respect. I notice you're getting louder, probably because you've seen that their case isn't actually very good. What I think is saddest is that there are parents who send their children to these schools who, if they could, would send them to almost any other school in New Zealand, but they can't. They can't afford to pay for private education, and they can't afford to move. That's why they're at that school. What will occur when we introduce a system of school vouchers? Well, if you don't like the school that you're currently going to, you can withdraw your student and use your student voucher to take it to a school of your choice. Will he get into King's? He might not get into King's, but he might get into the second or the third or the fourth choice. And that's actually better than going to a school riddled with violence and drugs. So that benefit isn't significant. And maybe when King's suddenly sees, actually, there's thousands of students who want to come here, they'll go, you know what we should do? Build another tower block, expand, allow more students to go to a good school like King's. That's how the market works. I want to move on then to the second point. And this is the point about diversity. Across the public school system, you see rigid uniformity. You see similar teaching practices and similar teaching methods. If you want to go and get religious education, if you want to get educated in a Montessori format, if you want to go to a Terreno school, which aren't funded equally with public schools, if you want to go to a Rudolf Steiner school, if you want diversity, you have to pay twice for it. And the thing is that uniformity in public schooling is actually not the best way to deal with troubled students, with students who don't find that way of learning particularly effective. What you say to them is, if you want to be taught in the method which is most appropriate for you, you've got to pay twice, once again. Who can do that? The wealthy. Who can't do that? The poor. That's the point, is that they force uniformity on schools, don't allow them to be as diverse as they would be when the money follows the child, and that has huge impacts on the ability of troubled students to get the best education that is possible for them. What do we say? We say liberate the children, allow them to go to the school that they want to. Heather Roy talked about the 42 serials. I wonder why there aren't 42 different types of teaching methods out there. There probably would be in a free market, and some of them might be directed, shock horror, for the exclusive brethren. That's really why they don't like diversity.
We already have them now.
Well, you tried to get rid of that after they didn't like you in the last lecture.